All right, lesson 3, the Korean War. You're going to notice that this is happening during the Cold War, and it basically ties back to, again, of why it all started. So again, you're going to listen to causes and effect, and with this lesson, it's going to be geared around the Korean War. So you're going to notice the United States and its involvement is going to be a prime example of what our new role is going to be during the Cold War. So here we go, we're getting right into it. So this is the island. So this is the country of Korea. So notice how it's divided into a north and a south. But once upon a time, it actually used to be all one country. But during World War II, in Japan's imperialistic nature, they actually invaded Korea and took it over. Well, the United States and the Soviet Union, in the fighting of World War II, are actually going to retake it over, and they're going to agree to divide it. Okay, so similar to what we saw in Germany, Berlin, and now you're going to see it in Korea. But obviously, the North is going to be controlled by the communist Soviet Union, and the South is going to be controlled by the democratic United States. So what the agreement was is that after World War II, they were all going to reunify, and everything was going to be all good in the hood. Except for, as you can guess, it's not going to happen. So, things that you need to know to understand this lesson, that at the same time of post-World War II, you're going to notice that China is going to go through a massive civil war. And there's going to be two people that are going to emerge that are going to want to be the leader of this new Chinese government. So they were once imperialistic, or not imperial, they had an empire, to go that way. But where this is all going to start hitting the fan a little bit is that the United States are going to back the loser, I guess you would say. So there is somebody that's going to be trying to make China democratic. However, it did not work because China during this time, again, are very down on their luck, very poor. So the guy that comes in is Mao Zedong. He is actually going to promise to feed the people because people are so without. Again, when you preach communism to the desperate people, it sounds very, very appealing. So, long story short, communism won, and now you're going to notice that 1/3 of the world's population is going to be underneath the communist rule, and 1/4 of its land. So this is a big deal because it goes directly against containment. So now it just technically expanded, and now you're going to notice it's only going to get worse. So here's where this Korean War is going to start. So in 1950, the North and the South, they're obviously going to start having these conflicts. They're going to start having disagreements. And this is where you're going to notice that the United States and the Soviet Union are now going to have what's called a proxy war, which is we're going to basically give supplies. We're going to try to stay out of it as much as possible. And you're going to notice that it doesn't go that way either. So the United States, they're going to back the South. The Soviet Union, they're going to back the North. And it's going to be mostly with supplies first. But you're going to notice that the South are going to be invaded by the North. Right? So the North is going to push into the democratic section of Korea. And you're going to notice the United States is not going to like that. So what did we do? But first, Soviet Union, they aided the South to start the Korean War. True or false? So again, knowing that the North just invaded into the South, they took over the capital, and as you can imagine, the United States is not going to like that. So we officially commit troops. This is where you're going to notice that we are going to be involved with a war immediately following World War II. So this is going to be a hot war where bullets are actually going to be exchanged with communist control. So the U.S. entered into South Korea, provided direct aid, and then the rest is going to go down kind of like that. So with the United States backing, you're going to notice that the South is not only going to push back to the original border, but it's actually going to push fairly close to the China border as well, which I'll talk about more as we go. So, true or false, the United States aided the South at the start of the Korean War. So, where this goes into war or conflict debate is because when the United States soldiers got involved, President Truman never declared war on Korea. He actually just said that this is a UN action, UN, United Nations, something that followed World War II, and he committed American troops to it because we're part of the UN. So, what happened is that troops that were stationed in Japan are actually going to go immediately into the South, start helping, and then start the push, I guess you would say. Now, what helps the United States is that one of our best military generals ever, Douglas MacArthur, is actually on Japan at the time. He's actually taking care of Japan after we dropped the atomic bomb, but more about that when we get there. So, anyways, when you see the United States gets involved, the the narrative changes completely. The war is going to change completely. We are, like I said before, going on the offensive, and we push fairly close to the China border. Now, where this gets a little hairy is that it got a little bit too close for the China's liking. So MacArthur is going to want to push into China, and China basically rallied their troops and said, no, you're not. So not only that, President Truman told him not to as well. Again, more about that here in a little bit. But the Chinese are actually going to commit 300,000 soldiers to aid the northern part of Korea. So communists are helping communists. Democracy is helping democracy, if you will. So true or false, the United States Congress declared war on North Korea. So MacArthur, with his push towards China, directly going against the order of his boss, the President of the United States, Harry Truman, he's actually going to get fired because he also publicly asked for Truman to drop an atomic bomb on Korea. And Truman, learning his lesson after World War II, said, absolutely not. And this is where MacArthur is going to publicly talk crap about President Truman. And Truman didn't like that very much and basically fired him immediately. So when this is all happening, here's kind of the map of what I described. So North invades the South, takes over a large portion of it. The United States becomes involved, and you're actually going to see the South push towards the North. Then, throughout courses and happenings, obviously, you're going to notice that North is going to regain lost land with the help of the Chinese. And then the map all the way to the right is what it currently looks like. And this is what happened in like 1953-ish, I guess, somewhere right on that range. And you're going to notice that this is where the ceasefire is going to happen. So why did that ceasefire happen? Is because we got a new president. And this is Dwight D. Eisenhower. We met him when we started talking about D-Day and invading France and ending World War II. So you're going to notice that when Truman would not commit a whole lot of force, you're going to notice that Eisenhower is going to be the exact opposite. He actually is going to use the military might. And with him being a general, a 5-star general, he has a lot of knowledge about this. So when he starts making these threats, you're going to notice that people are going to take him fairly seriously. So true or false, the United States dropped an atomic bomb during the Korean War. So the United States never did drop an atomic bomb. But what you're going to notice that China is going to basically now listen to Eisenhower's threats just a little bit more, because he is going to threaten to drop one, because he basically said, I send men into battle. I know what it's like. I'm not going to do that to the American soldiers, to their families, whichever. And when we made that threat, China immediately stood down. And it's also noting at the same time, the Soviet Union's in a kind of a turmoil because Joseph Stalin's going to die during this time. Too bad, so sad. But they're going to take advantage of the lack of leadership. So you're going to notice that they're going to agree to cease fire or stop firing at each other and keep the country border at that 38th parallel. And this is where we stand even right now in 2022 when this is being recorded. But our latest president, Donald Trump, actually made a trip to the border, and he tried to end the Korean War, and he still was unsuccessful. So why this still matters is that the North is still communist with Kim Jong-un, and the South is still democratic with their president, and I'm sorry, I don't know his name. But you're going to notice the effects. Again, with wars, big deals in the United States is how many people die. And you're going to see right there, 37,000 U.S. soldiers are going to die, which is a big deal. Plus, it kind of hurt relationships with China because we were basically at war with them in a sort of way. But the long-term effects, you're going to notice that the increased military spending is going to help the U.S. economy just ever so slightly. Then you're going to also notice that Japan is actually going to become a closer ally to us because we got their back pretty much. And future presidents now no longer have to declare war on a country to technically start it. Now it helps, don't get me wrong. However, I don't think we've done it since. So, true or false? Is the Korean War still technically going on?